The sun had barely kissed the horizon when the blonde Ukrainian woman stepped out of the modest guest house she had been staying at in the heart of Manila. She took a deep breath, letting the humid tropical air wash over her, a stark contrast to the crisp, cold breeze of Kyiv she had left behind. Her blue eyes sparkled with a mix of nervousness and excitement. Today was not going to be just any ordinary day. Today, she was going to live like a Filipino. Every detail, from commuting to eating to joining daily routines and festivals, she was going to immerse herself fully, and she was determined to document every hilarious and touching moment. Her first challenge came immediately. She had watched enough videos to know the basics of taking a jeepney, the iconic Philippine public transport vehicle painted in bright colors with every inch covered in stickers and decals, each more chaotic than the last. But theory and practice, as she would soon find, were wildly different. Stepping toward the queue, she clutched a small backpack containing her essentials, a notebook, phone, and a bottle of water, and tried to look casual, though the thought of boarding a vehicle that seemed to have no rules made her stomach twist with anticipation. The jeepney screeched to a stop, its engine coughing like an old man who had smoked too many cigarettes. The driver leaned over, beckoning passengers to climb aboard, while shouting incomprehensible phrases. She hesitated, trying to calculate the exact moment to leap in without being crushed or looked at like she was some confused tourist from another planet. A local lady, sensing her hesitation, gave her a gentle push and a kind smile. "Sakay na po," she said, handing her some coins with a practiced flick of the wrist. "Piso lang po." 1 piso. She tried to hand over a bill that was clearly too big, fumbled, apologized profusely, and managed to drop a coin at the floor. Laughter erupted from the passengers, not mocking, but warm and inclusive. That was the first lesson. Here, humor was shared, kindness was unspoken, and mistakes were forgiven with a grin. She managed to squeeze into a seat between a cheerful man with a guitar case and a woman carrying a basket of mangoes. The jeepney lurched forward, jerking side to side as it navigated the narrow streets crowded with tricycles, motorcycles, and more pedestrians than she thought humanly possible. Her stomach flipped as she tried to maintain balance. The man next to her, noticing her struggle, placed a steadying hand on her arm. "Relax, Poe, you get used to it," he said, eyes twinkling with amusement. She laughed nervously, gripping the metal bar in front of her, silently praying she wouldn't be flung into the street. By the time she reached her stop, she was laughing at herself, wiping sweat from her forehead, and marveling at the sense of community she felt. Even a chaotic, crowded, seemingly unsafe ride had a rhythm, a sense of belonging, and an underlying kindness. This was only the first step of her day, but already she felt a deep connection to the life she had come to observe. Next was the market. The smell of fresh fish, ripe mangoes, and fried street food assaulted her senses as she walked through the narrow aisles of the wet market. Vendors called out their prices, haggled with customers, and offered free tastes of their wares. She wandered past piles of shiny bananas and tubs of bagoong and paused at a stall selling freshly cooked pancit. The vendor, noticing her hesitation, nudged a plate toward her. "Tara, tikman mo," he said with a flourish. She hesitated, then took a tentative bite. The flavors exploded: the salty soy, the tender noodles, the perfect touch of calamansi juice. And she let out a small, involuntary gasp. The vendor laughed. "Masarap, diba? Welcome sa Pilipinas po." She spent hours wandering through the market, tasting everything offered to her. A cheerful elderly woman handed her a small piece of suman, rice wrapped in banana leaves. "Para sa'yo, anak," she said. The woman's gentle eyes reminded her of her grandmother back home, and she smiled warmly, accepting the gift. Each bite, each smile, each exchange was a lesson in humility and connection. The warmth of strangers enveloped her, a feeling she had rarely experienced in her own country. After the market, she decided to try her hand at something she had always admired from afar: cooking a traditional Filipino meal. With the guidance of a local friend she had met online, they started preparing adobo, the quintessential Filipino dish. She chopped garlic clumsily, accidentally dropping a few cloves on the floor. Her friend chuckled and guided her hands, showing her how to gently press the garlic to release its aroma. "Hindi po kailangan madali. Relax ka lang," he said, patting her shoulder. As the chicken simmered in vinegar, soy sauce, and garlic, the aroma filled the small kitchen, drawing curious neighbors who stopped by to peek. Laughter and chatter filled the room as she learned to stir, taste, and adjust seasonings. By the time the dish was ready, she had tears in her eyes, not just from the onions, but from the sense of accomplishment, community, and the surprising emotional depth of a day spent fully immersed. The afternoon brought a trip to a local school where children were learning English, and she volunteered to read a short story. Their eyes widened as they listened to her accented voice, and soon they were giggling at her attempts to pronounce Tagalog words. She joined in the laughter, feeling completely at home amidst the chaos of coloring books, laughter, and the innocent mischief of Filipino children. She realized that learning a language, living a culture, and understanding people was not just about words. It was about shared experiences, gestures, and kindness. Evening came, and the city took on a different energy. Streetlights flickered on, vendors started selling snacks for the night crowd, and families gathered outside their homes, chatting and sharing food. She walked along the bustling streets, savoring a fresh halo she had bought from a roadside vendor. The sweetness of the dessert mirrored the sweetness of the interactions she had throughout the day. Unplanned, unforced, and deeply moving. As night fell, she sat on a small bench overlooking a quiet park, reflecting on the day. She realized she had learned more than she expected about patience, humor, resilience, and the warmth of Filipino culture. Each misstep, each laugh, each shared bite had left an imprint on her heart. Living like a Filipino for a day was not just about performing tasks. It was about embracing the soul of a people, their values, and their unique way of turning ordinary moments into extraordinary memories. She smiled, thinking about the next day. A day full of more adventures, perhaps more challenges, more jeepney rides, and definitely more laughter. She had arrived in the Philippines as a visitor, but after just one day, she felt a connection that transcended nationality, language, or distance. She felt, for the first time, like she belonged. Not because she was from here, but because she had learned to truly live like one of them, even just for a day. And with that thought, she closed her eyes, ready to dream about the chaos, laughter, and beauty of Filipino life, excited for the adventures that tomorrow would surely bring. Morning light spilled over the streets of Cebu as the blonde Ukrainian woman awoke with a sense of anticipation. After the previous day's whirlwind of jeepney rides, markets, and cooking lessons, she was eager for a fresh adventure. Today was different. She had been invited to join a local fiesta in one of the nearby barangays. The thought of colorful parades, music, and food had her heart racing, but she was equally nervous about navigating the unfamiliar streets, public transport, and social customs. She stepped outside and immediately spotted a tricycle waiting. Unlike the jeepney, it was smaller, open on the sides, and powered by a motorcycle engine. The driver, a cheerful man with a wide grin, greeted her. "Sakay po?" he asked. She nodded, clambering in carefully as he handed her a helmet. The wind whipped through her hair as the tricycle bounced along uneven roads, past sari-sari stores, small houses with laundry hanging outside, and children running barefoot in the sun. She laughed nervously as the driver expertly weaved through traffic that seemed to defy every law of physics she had ever learned. Somehow, amidst the chaos, everyone remained safe, calm, and smiling. Arriving at the barangay, she was immediately swept up in a wave of colors, sounds, and smells. Children ran around with painted faces, vendors sold vibrant snacks, and the scent of lechon roasting over open coals filled the air. She was handed a plate of pancit and a small cup of buko juice by a friendly neighbor who insisted she eat before joining the parade. She took a bite, savoring the flavors, and realized that food here wasn't just sustenance. It was a celebration of life, community, and love. The parade was a sensory overload. She tried to follow along as the locals danced in sync with drums, brass instruments, and singing voices. She attempted to mimic their steps, her clumsy movements earning giggles from the children and encouraging smiles from adults. One little girl tugged at her hand and showed her the correct dance moves, laughing when the Ukrainian woman stumbled over her own feet. Despite her awkwardness, she felt a deep sense of inclusion. She wasn't a foreigner here. She was part of the moment. After the parade, she joined a group for a traditional game that involved tossing a coconut husk. At first, she had no idea how to hold it, throw it, or even stand properly without tripping. But the locals guided her patiently, laughing at her struggles while cheering her on. With each failed attempt, her laughter grew louder, blending seamlessly with the joyous shouts around her. By the end of the game, she had managed a few successful tosses, feeling an unexpected pride swell in her chest. Later, she was invited into a nearby home, where a Filipino family was preparing lunch. She helped wash vegetables and stir sauces, all while practicing her limited Tagalog. Every attempt to say salamat or po perfectly was met with encouraging nods and laughter, never mockery. The warmth in their eyes made her feel like a family member rather than a guest. They shared stories of their daily lives, their children, and the festivals, painting a picture of a community bound together by kindness and joy. She realized that the connections here were built not on convenience or convenience alone, but on genuine care and respect. By mid-afternoon, she decided to explore more of the town, hopping onto another jeepney with the confidence she had gained the previous day. This time, she was able to navigate the small interactions with the driver, hand over the exact fare, and even exchange a few words in Tagalog. The passengers laughed with her when she mispronounced a word, but instead of embarrassment, she felt a comforting sense of camaraderie. Each ride, each interaction, felt like another thread weaving her into the fabric of Filipino life. She wandered into a small plaza where musicians were performing traditional Filipino songs. The melodies floated through the warm air, drawing people together to dance, clap, and sing along. She watched for a while, mesmerized by the way music connected everyone, young and old, locals and visitors alike. When a group invited her to join in, she hesitated, then allowed herself to be pulled into the circle. Her movements were awkward, her rhythm off, but the laughter that followed was shared, not derisive. She felt joy in a way she hadn't anticipated, the sheer freedom to laugh at herself while still being fully accepted. As the sun began to dip, painting the sky with shades of orange and pink, she joined a small boat tour along the coast, seeing the town from the water. Fishermen waved from their boats, children shouted greetings, and she marveled at the natural beauty surrounding her. Even simple gestures, like offering a smile or returning a wave, carried weight here. She reflected on how different this felt from her life back home, where interactions often felt rushed, transactional, or distant. Here, every smile, every small act, seemed to carry meaning, warmth, and sincerity. Dinner was a shared affair, consisting of grilled fish, garlic rice, and a variety of local vegetables. She joined the family she had met earlier, eating with her hands as they showed her the proper way. She laughed at her clumsiness, but was met with patient guidance. By this point, she had realized that food in the Philippines was more than sustenance. It was an expression of care, a ritual of love, and a bridge between hearts. The night ended with a small firework display over the bay. Families and friends gathered along the shore, sharing snacks, stories, and laughter as the sky lit up. She felt a sense of awe and gratitude, realizing how much she had experienced in just one day. The music, laughter, food, and warmth of the people had left an indelible mark on her heart. She understood now that living like a Filipino wasn't just about trying local foods or riding public transport. It was about embracing community, humor, patience, and kindness in every moment. Walking back to her guest house under a sky full of stars, she reflected on the lessons of the day. She had stumbled, laughed, learned, and connected in ways that had surprised her. Every interaction, every gesture, had reinforced the beauty of Filipino life, a culture rich in empathy, joy, and resilience. She realized that humor here was gentle, mistakes were shared, and kindness was a language everyone understood. By the time she reached her room, she was exhausted, but exhilarated. She journaled about the day, capturing moments of chaos and calm, laughter and quiet reflection, missteps and triumphs. She understood, in a way she hadn't before, that embracing a culture fully required humility, openness, and a willingness to laugh at oneself. As she drifted to sleep, she imagined the adventures tomorrow might bring, perhaps joining a town fiesta, helping in a local school, or cooking yet another traditional dish. One thing was certain: living like a Filipino, even for just a few days, had changed her perception of life, laughter, and community forever. She closed her eyes, a smile on her face, eager to greet the next day's chaos, kindness, and joy with the same open heart and curious spirit. The morning sun streamed through the small window of her guest house, casting a warm glow over the room where the blonde Ukrainian woman had been staying for several days. She stretched, feeling a sense of anticipation mixed with a bittersweet pang. Today marked the culmination of her immersive journey, living like a Filipino, laughing like a local, and seeing the world through their eyes. The memories of jeepney rides, street markets, lively festivals, and family gatherings had already begun to etch themselves permanently in her heart. Her first stop was a local bakery known for its pandesal. She had learned from her new friends that nothing started the day better than the soft, warm bread paired with hot coffee. As she stepped into the shop, the familiar aroma greeted her like an old friend. The baker, a cheerful woman with a welcoming smile, handed her a freshly baked pandesal without asking for money. "Para sa iyo, anak," she said. It was a small gesture, but it filled her with warmth. She realized that generosity here was not measured by wealth, but by thoughtfulness and heart. Walking through the morning streets, she noticed familiar faces greeting each other with a nod, a smile, or a simple "Kumusta po?" Children ran by, playing makeshift games, their laughter echoing against the walls of colorful houses. She felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. It wasn't that she had become a local overnight, but that the openness, warmth, and humor of the people had created a space where she could truly exist without fear of judgment. Her next adventure involved a trip to the local school where she had volunteered earlier. The children greeted her with hugs, playful shoves, and bright smiles. They eagerly showed her the projects they had been working on, paper crafts, paintings, and songs they had learned. She laughed at her initial attempts to sing in Tagalog alongside them, but the children's encouragement made her feel like a valued participant rather than a foreign spectator. Here she understood that inclusion was not an abstract idea. It was practiced in every interaction, every gesture, and every shared moment of joy. Later, she accompanied a family to a small barangay chapel for a community gathering. Filipino culture, she had noticed, was rich with rituals and celebrations that honored faith, family, and friendship. She watched as neighbors exchanged pleasantries, helped carry chairs, and shared stories. When asked to assist in setting up, she eagerly joined, fumbling slightly but laughing along with everyone else. The sense of community here was unlike anything she had experienced back home. Every individual, regardless of age or status, contributed to the collective well-being, and each contribution, no matter how small, was celebrated. In the afternoon, she returned to the market, her favorite place for observing life in motion. Vendors greeted her warmly, teasing her gently for mispronouncing words in Tagalog. She bought fresh fruit and small snacks, sharing them with children who ran alongside her, giggling with delight. She marveled at how even ordinary errands were transformed into moments of connection, laughter, and learning. It was a world where human interaction carried meaning, and kindness was the currency of life. Her next challenge was transportation. Today, she was taking a jeepney to a neighboring town to join a small festival celebrating local artisans. She climbed aboard with confidence, greeted the driver with a cheerful, "Magandang araw po," and handed over her fare. As the jeepney lurched forward, she felt a sense of mastery and belonging. The ride was bumpy, the music blared from the speakers, and the chatter around her was lively and warm. She laughed at the rhythm of it all, no longer intimidated but exhilarated by the vibrancy of life on the streets. At the festival, she wandered through stalls filled with handcrafted goods, colorful textiles and intricate pottery. Artisans shared their stories, explaining the techniques passed down through generations. She tried weaving a small piece under the guidance of a skilled woman, fumbling at first but gradually improving. Each thread she wove felt symbolic, a representation of the connection she had formed, the lessons she had learned, and the humor she had embraced. She realized that Filipino life was a tapestry, intricate and colorful, woven from laughter, kindness, and resilience. As the day progressed, she joined a small group of locals in preparing a communal meal. She chopped vegetables, stirred sauces, and laughed at her attempts to cook traditional dishes like sinigang and lumpia. The food was not just nourishment. It was a celebration of togetherness, an embodiment of the love and care that defined every Filipino home. She watched as neighbors shared dishes freely, offering advice and compliments, teasing each other gently, and creating an atmosphere where everyone felt included and appreciated. Evening came, and she joined a bonfire gathering near the shore. The sound of waves mingled with laughter, music, and stories. She listened as locals shared tales of resilience, humor, and love, each story punctuated by laughter, sighs, and moments of reflection. She felt a profound sense of gratitude for being part of this circle, even if only temporarily. It was a world where humor softened hardships, kindness strengthened bonds, and community created a sense of security and joy that transcended mere friendship. As the night deepened, she reflected on her journey. She thought about the moments of chaos that became laughter, the awkward attempts that turned into shared triumphs, and the small gestures that carried immense meaning. Living like a Filipino had taught her patience, empathy, and the beauty of embracing life fully, even when it was messy, unpredictable, and overwhelming. She realized that the essence of Filipino culture lay not just in the traditions or rituals, but in the daily practice of kindness, humor, and emotional generosity. Before retiring for the night, she took a quiet walk along the dimly lit streets, observing families chatting outside their homes, children playing and neighbors sharing smiles. She marveled at the rhythm of life here, a rhythm guided not by rigid schedules or deadlines, but by relationships, laughter, and shared experience. She felt a profound transformation within herself. Her perspective on happiness, connection, and even love had shifted. She had arrived as an outsider, hesitant and unsure, and she would leave with a heart fuller, a mind broader, and a spirit more open. Finally, she returned to her guest house, exhausted, yet exhilarated. She journaled late into the night, capturing every detail, every laugh, every gesture that had touched her. As she closed her notebook, she felt a deep sense of belonging, not because she had become Filipino, but because she had embraced the values, humor, and warmth of the people. Living like a Filipino for these days had taught her that joy, connection, and kindness were universal, yet profoundly embodied in this culture. She drifted to sleep under a ceiling fan that hummed gently above her, a soft smile on her face. The lessons of the day and the entire journey were clear. Life was richer when shared, laughter was a bridge across differences, and kindness could transform even the most ordinary moments into extraordinary memories. She had come to the Philippines as a visitor, but she would carry its spirit with her forever, a reminder of how fully embracing a culture could change not just the way one sees the world, but the way one experiences it, with humor, heart, and an open soul.